Hi, we're Ralph and Lonnie D'Amicis with our monthly forecast. This time we're looking at February 2024. And I just want to say we are taping this at the full moon,
Yes.
the Aquarius Leo full moon. And so it's enough to think that it's the full moon,
Yes.
but it is also the full moon that squares my natal full moon. So
Yes.
let's see how this goes.
Yes. Let's see what comes out of Lonnie's mouth today. Now, if you have the calendar, and hopefully you do, or you have your day planner, or you have your pocket version, you've got the forecast for the year. But if you don't, I'm going to read the first part of it to you so that you're well informed. All the planets are now traveling direct. No planets are running retrograde at the beginning of February, okay, 2024. So, things really move ahead fast. Things are really accelerating, and this is going to go on all the way up until June when the first planets start turning retrograde again, with the major planets. This whole pattern also, Mercury is going to go retrograde in between there, but this pattern is going to repeat in April. And remember, Venus has no retrogrades this year. So in terms of love issues, social issues, and also money issues, they're going to tend to move forward real steadily.
That sounds good. Can I have that in writing?
Oh, yeah, sure. No
Yeah, it's called
problem.
the calendar.
Yes. Also, Mercury is now accelerated. Remember, right on the first day of the year, Mercury turned direct, finally. And now Mercury has accelerated, starting to speed up, so it's easing communications. And on the 4th of February, it's going to move into Aquarius. This is what's called the Exalted Sign. This is basically the colleague sign. It's the way in which Mercury connects to Saturn. Now, Saturn's in Pisces this day. This year, in fact. So what's happening is that people, in terms of Saturn, which is, our center of responsibility, in Pisces, people are a little worried. People keep worrying about like money in the economy. Even as the economy keeps improving, they keep worrying about it. But that's just Saturn and Pisces. But this Mercury in Aquarius is very electrical. It's great for communications. It's a great time for to getting inspirations. And wherever you have Aquarius in your chart, it's going to get a lot of energy, a lot of spark. It's a very sparkling type of energy. The Aquarius New Moon on the 9th is the time when they time the Lunar New Year, what they call the Chinese New Year. It's when all the energy of the Earth is most withdrawn. And after that, the seeds in the Northern Hemisphere will begin to sprout. It affects people too, and you usually find the week around the Lunar New Year is a great time to stay home. It's not a great time to travel. It's a great time to stay home and do the cleaning and get the place in order for the year, set off the fireworks,
Well, and I want to mention that on that day, there's the first void of course that's going to sort of affect you in your workday because it starts about noontime, a little bit after noon, and goes to 5:45 a.m. the next day. So that whole afternoon is kind of shot. So take off early, start celebrating.
Exactly. And remember that this is one of the most celebrated holidays of the year. And in China and in Asia, they typically take off a week. And they close all the doors and they go through the little village and they go through and clean everything up and get the place straightened up and get rid of all the debris from last year because they consider this, we call it the New Year, or they call it the Springtime Festival because this is the beginning of really the growing festival, the growing time.
That sounds like a little bit of heaven to me. You take off the week and clean
Yes,
everything and get
yes.
everything organized.
You get your
boy.
Virgo friends by and your Scorpio friends to throw things out for you. So
I don't need help to
No.
throw things out.
now, if you haven't seen it, go to Planetary Calendar Astrology on YouTube or go to our website, planetarycalendar.com, and watch the Lunar New Year forecast. We did a forecast of the coming year, which is the year of the wooden dragon. Dragons tend to be very lucky. Why? Because they're very energized. It's based upon where Jupiter is at the time, and Jupiter's going from Taurus this year into Gemini. So it's a very, very lively dragon. And
Yes, that's one of the reasons that it's so auspicious.
Yes.
Because Gemini is a go-getter and a deal maker, and and that connection to this wood dragon is very important. The wood is very kind of stabilizing and forward thinking in terms of success. So I think you're going to find that the year has a very different quality than the year before.
Right. And it's very interesting, too, that depending upon when you look at that forecast, we point out that depending upon where you are in the country, it affects you differently. But generally speaking, a lot of the planets are up. The actual new moon takes place during the day. On the West Coast, it takes place at 2:58 p.m. So when the planets are all up, it means stuff is really out there in the open, which is not surprising considering the kind of political year we're going through. But it also means that a lot of what's going on in the United States is going to be noticed around the world.
And I know Ralph will have more to say about this because I see the letter D on the 12th. But I just want to say that when Mars enters Aquarius, he'll be joining the Sun, the Moon, and
yes.
Mercury. We've got a lot of Aquarian energy,
Yes.
although the moon has moved on, but is in Pisces, so it's kind of hard to tell that he left Aquarius.
Yes, exactly.
She.
Exactly. Okay.
To the 12th.
To the 12th, yes. Oh, right. Well, we're going to do the forecast,
Oh,
aren't
you're
we?
deep.
We're doing the forecast. I'm so sorry. Mars entering Aquarius, which is also coincidentally Lincoln's birthday.
He's already moved on.
Yeah,
My
I'm sorry.
Mercury man.
Yes. What do we say? We say Mars joins Pluto, Mercury and the Sun in Aquarius, as you said, showing that when many small individual voices are united, they possess transformative power. Speak up, because that may bring you like-minded allies. Remember, the Aquarius energy is about the group voice. Aquarius is the water bearer. Or the water pourer, actually. One of the reasons why this part of the sky got it was because they find that whenever there's eclipses at this part of the sky, near these stars, that wherever it's angular tends to get extreme floods.
Yeah.
So it's the water pourer.
Boy, that's something people don't want to hear right now
No,
because
no,
that's
really.
been happening all over.
Yeah, but this concept of irrigation, of people working together, of staying in one place, that's part of the Aquarian idea. It's the idea of the community. And this is always a time of year for the community.
Well, and how about that white circle on the 13th, the very next day? Mardi Gras gets a white circle day. Look at that. We've got the Sun sextile moon. We've got Mars conjunct Pluto, although
Oh, yes.
it's above the line, meaning that it's a helpful aspect. But I have my questions about that. But anyway, Venus is sextile Neptune, and Mercury is well aspected by the moon. So it looks like a really, really great day.
What's cool about that, too, when you have a lot of planets over to the right side, okay, it means these are aspects happening between the big guys. These are not lunar aspects. The lunar aspects are to the left and right above and below the number. So on those days, they tend to be social, but those are fast-moving aspects. Okay, they're things that happen very, very quickly. The moon's touching everybody quickly. But on the right, it means it could be a change of direction. Now, the sun sextile the moon, that's a standard thing. This is a very harmonious day when people can really feel comfortable, comfortable being around other people. Mars conjunct Pluto is interesting because Mars is physical energy. Pluto tends to be kind of driven. So watch out for overdoing things on that day, I think. Don't you think?
Right.
And then Venus is sextile Neptune. Sounds like a great day to open a great bottle of wine.
What do you mean, Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday. Yes. What's Mardi Gras?
No, I mean any Tuesday is
Yes,
a great
that's true.
day to open
But this is
wine.
Fat Tuesday, and then
What do you need an excuse?
and then the next day is Valentine's Day. So you're going to need a second bottle of wine.
I kind of want to backtrack a
Sure.
little bit just for
Sure,
a second.
please do.
Because we skipped over that white circle on Wednesday the 7th, which
Yes.
is probably even a better white circle day than the 13th because
Mm.
we've got Venus, Uranus, Neptune, Mars, all well aspected by the moon. And that's that Capricorn moon, which is, you don't get more industrious and success-oriented than that. And then we've got that Mars sextile Neptune now. So you've
Yes.
got putting physical energy into those inspirational ideas. And then you've got Venus trine Uranus. And that is not as disruptive as it could be, but Uranus is in Taurus, which is Venus's rulership. So that sounds like a very sort of stabilizing energy that can really promote these things that have to do with the earth.
Yes.
Well, I'll go to the other one later because I wanted to mention something about the third. Don't let me forget.
Don't forget about the third. But I would say, too, on the 7th, when you get that Venus trine Uranus, at the same time that Uranus is making a trine to the moon, right, and Mars is there, and Venus are there as well, and you get Mars sextile Neptune, this could be a day of, lightning bolt love, don't you think?
You're such a romantic.
Love out of the blue from across the room.
Venus and Uranus, unexpected
Right,
Venusian happenings.
We describe it in here as a very social day. Spend it with those who share your beliefs and entertain alternate ideas and relationships.
Now remember that Chinese saying,
Yeah.
if you're looking for love,
Yeah.
he who waits for roast duck to fly through window and land in mouth waits a very long time. So
Yes.
get out there and be social.
Yes, exactly.
And these two white circles are balances to the two black boxes for the month. And I think that it's kind of cosmic whenever that happens, because we've got, although we're the arbiters of white circles
Yes,
and
we
black
are. It's
boxes,
true.
so we
Yes.
do try to be fair. And I have 3 planets in Libra, so I like to be balanced and equitable and all that. So there are 2 black boxes coming up
Yes.
for you to pay attention to on the 16th and the 24th.
But don't forget, you said you want to talk about the 3rd or the 4th. Which one did you
No,
want
it's
to
the 3rd, and I'll do that in the
Oh.
wind up, because I got, we have some planning to do.
And there's
don't-
Groundhog Day, too, on the 2nd. Don't forget Groundhog Day. Very important, Remember that Groundhog Day was basically, the idea was that it told you if you're going to have an early spring or a late spring. That's actually based upon where the Chinese New Year falls. If the new moon in Aquarius is early in
Like
the
in
year,
January.
it can be in the span of about 30 days. The seeds will start sprouting sooner. Or if it's late, the seeds will sprout later. And that's really what it's based upon. But here in the United States, we depend upon a rodent to do that
And
instead
they're
of the
going
calendar.
to retire him,
Oh,
I think. So
he's going to get a pension.
we'll have to see what happens with
Yes.
Punxsutawney.
Oh,
Phil.
Punxsutawney, yes. Okay, so we're up to Mardi Gras. And the next thing we have going on,
Is that black box on Friday the 16th,
the
right?
black box. And it's interesting because that's also the day when Venus enters Aquarius. How do you feel about Venus entering Aquarius?
Look at all that Aquarius.
An awful lot of Aquarius.
I think it sounds like frizzy hair,
That's
but,
true.
you
Well, the 7th.
into
The
each
7th,
life, some frizzy hair must
the
fall.
7th is one of our friends who has very, very, very curly, frizzy hair. So
The 7th?
the 7th is Carrie's birthday with the very, very frizzy hair. So a true Aquarian. Looks so Aquarian. One of the reasons why people think Aquarians are very attractive oftentimes is there are fewer Aquarians than any other sign. There's fewer births at that time of year. So as a result, they look different from other people. And we are always kind of attracted to those who look different from us. We tend to marry people who look like us, but we tend to be attracted to people who look different. And it's because of seeking genetic diversity.
This is why we have to wear different colors, because
Yes.
people can't tell us apart.
Not at all. It's very embarrassing. Lauf and Ronnie. Yes.
But why we digress from the black box on the 16th.
16th. Yeah, exactly.
Squares.
Yes. A sun square moon, Mercury square Uranus.
I always say that the oppositions are more learning experiences, because it creates a situation where you have to, in order to know the complete picture, you need to share with the person opposite you so that they can tell you what they see from their perspective, and you can share what you see, and then both of you know much more. It's that square that takes you unaware. That's the head-on intersection at the head-on collision at that. Actually, it's not head-on. That's
90 degree.
it's that 90-degree collision at the intersection, and you don't see them coming until bam.
Exactly.
So the square is not as helpful.
Yes.
Although squares make things happen.
Exactly.
So if you want things to change or you need to get something done, that square is the impetus to do that.
Exactly. Now, what's interesting about this is, remember, it's the sun square the moon, so that's, kind of it's going to go a couple of days before and after. I mean, it spans out. But the other one is the Mercury square Uranus. Because Mercury's moving fast, but not that fast. So this aspect's really going to kind of bleed out before and after. And when we actually look at our description, what do we say?
Well, especially take a peek at the 15th. A
Yes.
double Uranus above the number and Mercury at the bottom. So they're repeated in that square that becomes exact on the 16th. But as Ralph said, it's bleeding over. It's really in effect before and after that date.
What we say is, watch out for chaos in your relationships. Others' greediness may offend you. Be careful with whom you share your feelings. So, like I said, because it's planets and then that's not lunar, these things are going to bleed over front and back. So watch out for that kind of stuff. Okay. Yes, really. Okay. And then we have the Sun enters Pisces on the 18th. That's G, with a nice sunshine moon. Isn't that nice?
I'm surprised you didn't put a white circle on that there.
Well, this is because you're
There's only a 4-minute void of course. Don't we
yes,
love them?
It's very, very nice. Yes.
And sunshine moon. We've got Neptune in a difficult aspect to the moon, but does that happen before or after the moon changes sign into
It's got
Cancer?
to be after because it's when
Right.
the sun goes into Pisces, so the moon goes into.
Right, so that
it's
doesn't
taking
happen
place
till the
late
evening.
in the day.
Right.
Oh, I do have to say something else too. You know, when Venus goes into Aquarius, if you have the sun in Aquarius and the moon in Aquarius are rising, you're going to feel more Venusian. You're going to feel more charming. You're going to look more attractive to other people. You're going to be more inclined to indulge yourself. Go with that. Venus transits don't last nearly long enough, you know.
Look how interesting the 19th and 20th. There's really not a lot going on. You know, it's not even very
No.
social because the planets above the number are the outer planets except for Saturn. So it looks like, Jupiter and Saturn on
Yes,
President's
they're not
Day.
very-
So that's
not
like
very
a
personal.
work. Yeah, it's like a work day that day.
Though
But
it's a
work
holiday.
from home because
Yep.
you're got this moon in Cancer.
It's Cancer and the sun's in Pisces. Do stuff around the house. It'd be nice. Cook. Dream. Day drinking.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, we got into Pisces
He's
here.
giving you an impression that is so
No.
not us. I'm going to tell you that
Yes.
right now. But on the 21st, we've got a Venus conjunct Mars. So,
Yes.
you know, after you get the thunderbolt,
Yes.
the thunderbolt with the Venus Uranus.
Yes, Venus conjunct Mars, and so in Aquarius, you know. But you will find that when you get these kind of Venus and Aquarius, Mars and Aquarius, you're going to tend to find relationships among your group. Like, you know how like the younger people, they don't date. They kind of all go out together and hang out together until someone finds out that there's a certain magnetism going on. They don't say, do you want to go out? No, you're going to go out as a group. And that's very much an Aquarian kind of approach to it. And then on the 22nd, the H, is when Mercury enters Pisces. So it's leaving the exalted sign of Aquarius and moving into Pisces, which is typically called a detriment sign. Detriment is a horrible term for the Mercury position in Pisces because it's actually a very successful position. A lot of great mathematicians, for instance, have Mercury in Pisces. It's like Mercury in Sagittarius is seen because it's opposite Gemini, a negative position. I find a lot of astrologers have Mercury in Sagittarius. They're big thinkers.
Well, and remember that Pisces and Sagittarius are ruled by Jupiter.
Right.
So when you have a planet in the sign of either Pisces or Sagittarius, there's a little Jupiterian quality to it, which can be, you know, open and generous and take you farther and wider, broader than you normally would.
And that's the thing to remember about those two. It's the smallest planet and it's the largest planet. But going back to the traditional rulers of the planets, as we use, the ruling planets of Mercury are the detriment planets, are personal planets of Jupiter. And the ruling planets of Jupiter are the personal planets of Mercury. There are polarities to each other. Where the difference is in the exaltation and fall positions with that third, that colleague and confidant. That's where the triangle's different, but they're the same triangles. They use the same dimensionally, the same angles at the 3 points. They're very kind of reflection to each other. And remember that these four signs, those are the mutable signs. They're the signs that relate to people most. They're most interested in people. Okay, where are we up to?
We are we just finishing the 22nd.
Oh,
Where
yes.
you had the letter H
Yes.
with the Mercury
Yes.
entering Pisces. And then we come up to that black box day for the full moon at 4:30 a.m. at 5 degrees Virgo. So that's important to for people who have things at 5 degree of mutable.
Yes. Oh my gosh, people. In fact, we wonder if we know anybody. Okay, a lot of Virgos. I said before, there's like fewer Aquarians than any other sign. There's probably more Virgos and Libras than any other sign.
Well, and we've got the sun opposite the moon. Of course, that's below the line, so a challenging aspect. Which the people who don't love the full moon, like I
Yes.
do, think that's a challenge. But we've got that Venus square Jupiter, which is mitigated by the fact that Jupiter is playing nicely with the moon. So that makes it a little bit less of a challenge and may keep Venus from overindulging on the sweets or something like that because they're square.
Yes. Now,
because Venus-Jupiter contacts indicate a sugar problem.
yeah, it can, tendency to overindulge.
It can be hypoglycemia, it can be diabetes, it can be candida, it could be alcoholism. But contacts in a natal chart or even triggered by transit, Venus-Jupiter contacts can trigger sugar issues because Venus is the love of, among other things, the sweet things in life. And Jupiter makes it all bigger.
Exactly. So
or overindulges.
To read about what we wrote about the full moon is the full Virgo moon. On that, you can get a great deal done, especially on projects that will yield long-term benefits, because it is, after all, Virgo Pisces, long-term benefits. But be prepared to work diligently. If you're not prepared to make the effort, avoid starting anything. Just like go to lunch. It's really challenging for both Gemini and Sagittarius because it's square to them.
That seems to be our solution for everything.
Right.
Go to dinner, go to lunch.
Go to lunch.
I think that's because of my Taurus moon.
Open a bottle of wine.
And we got all the way to the end of the month. I mean, there was a short void of course that was problematic on the 9th. But most of the void of course are happening outside of business times and not in the heart of the day where it's really going to affect your productivity too much. Until we get then to the 27th, where we have a void of course that starts from 10 o'clock in the morning and goes until 7 p.m. the next day. So it's really the 28th is all day has a void of course moon. So really watch out for that, the 27th, 28th, because you could forget things that are important. You could space, things, and it just... We're going into that Scorpio moon, so while it's in Libra. So decision making is going to be really challenged because it is already with the Libra energy. So those 2 days are going to be tricky.
Yeah, in fact, with it's going to be especially difficult for the people born with strong Libra. Remember, Libra Sun, Moon, Ascendant, but it's going to be generally difficult for the air signs, just because it's having that much kind of lack of focus in that much information is going to be very, very hard for the air signs. So be prepared for that.
Well, and even though you've got all those good aspects above the line on the 28th, that doesn't really do enough to mitigate that void of course moon.
Yep.
So we're cautiously optimistic with the benefits of those beneficial aspects on the 28th.
Now, on the 29th, if that's your birthday, happy birthday.
You're 4 years older.
4 years older, exactly. There's a lot of aspects going on that day. You have Venus, Saturn, and Mercury all making good aspects to that Scorpio moon. It's a very martial moon. You got the Sun trine the moon, which is a real positive aspect. And this is the Sun trine moon after the full moon. They tend to be very productive. And Mercury sextile Jupiter. If it wasn't for the Jupiter and Mars challenging the moon, we would have made this a white circle because there's so many kind of positive aspects going on that day. So it's a good day to get a lot of stuff done, though, because when you have a couple squares like that, you can get a lot of stuff done because it kind of gives you the building blocks. That's the way to think about it, is that the squares give you the building blocks. The trines, the sextiles, they help stuff move along, but the squares give you the building blocks to kind of move up.
Well, and I think that Jupiter and Mars below the number are not as bad as they would appear on first blush because, number one, Jupiter is in Taurus. So again, I was talking about that learning aspect. When you're in opposition, you can see from two directions. You get the whole picture, so you can use that energy, pull on that energy for your benefit. And then Mars is in Aquarius. And so it's that square to Mars. So the Mars is kind of the challenger, but the moon is in a rulership of Mars.
Yep.
So go with the most positive of those energies, and they could support you.
Now, if you don't have just so I can mention this before I forget, if you don't have your pocket version or your day planner, you can still get those on Amazon. You can get the You
We
can also,
have the mini pockets left.
and we have mini
too.
pockets left
You can-
at from planetarycalendar.com. I'd like to mention something about Pisces. Pisces is seen as the two fishes. Oh, you want to talk about?
Well, don't forget about my third.
Let's
Just
talk about
go
the third.
ahead.
No, we'll talk about that.
About the fishes.
It's shown as two fish, one swimming up and one swimming down. And it's always been this idea that, oh, well, it's because they can really extend or they can really dive into the depths, and seen as kind of a negative thing. This was actually a rebranding during the Christian era of the original symbol. The original symbol was actually about the story of Aphrodite and her son Eros. Passion. Aphrodite was higher love, Eros was passionate love. That they were being chased by a monster. They got to the shore of the Euphrates River, and they leaped in, and two dolphins carried them away. One carried Aphrodite north, up to the northern part of the ecliptic, because it actually crosses the ecliptic. So one brings them to the northern hemisphere, ascending. Venus love ascends, and Eros went south. So the passionate love is remaining with Earth. And then they were connected by a cord. This is to a certain extent a projection of astral projection, that when your spirit leaves your body, maybe during sleep or during meditation, it takes off. A cord continues to connect you. When you're finished with your body's expiration date has run out, it stretches and then that cord separates. But that's what this is symbolic of.
Original symbolism.
But when the Christian era, they said, no, it's the fishes of when Jesus had his miracle of the loaves and fishes of feeding the multitudes, and turned it into that, a little bit of rebranding there, and forgot that it was actually about Aphrodite and Eros, about love and passion. And the upper area was also known in some cultures as the Great Lady of the Zodiac.
And we're on a mission to boot misogyny out of astrology.
Yes.
So
Yes.
don't be surprised if we have any more explanations of how the goddess was written out of the symbolism
Yes.
of astrology,
Yes.
and you'll hear more about
Yes,
that in
you'll
the future.
definitely hear more about that in the
Yes.
future. Yes.
Yes.
So what happened on the third?
I want to quickly mention something, and it's not about the third exactly. What
Okay.
it is about is an idea that you and I are tossing around and working on at this moment in time, because we're working on the 2025 calendar.
Yes, we are.
So why not? You
Yes.
know, so we shouldn't
Oh.
be confused what year we're on. And so we're discussing giving you all more and more information. How
Yes.
can we squeeze more
More
information
information.
for you into the calendar? And the idea that we're floating is to put the symbol for the aspect that the planet above the number is making to the moon after the glyph for the planet.
Right.
So when I look at the third, I think, okay, now
Yes.
we would have to
Yes.
fit. There are already now 3, 6, 7, 8 glyphs
Yes.
for planets above the number
That's
on February
an
3rd.
extreme case, yes.
And so either we have to go with
2 lines.
2 lines,
Yeah.
or we have to say, oops, you're on your own
Yeah,
for this one.
lots of luck.
But something like that. So I'd love to hear from you about how you
that
feel
would be
about
helpful.
putting, how you feel about our putting that symbol
Yes.
after the planet, to let you know if that, because we know that the planets above the number are making a good aspect, a harmonious aspect to the moon. We'll do it to the ones below as well,
Yes.
but there's not as many possibilities up there
Yes.
because we
Yes.
also put in the parallels. Or maybe we drop the parallels.
Maybe we drop the parallels. That would be
I'd
right.
love to hear from any and all of you. Please email us or drop us a
Yes.
comment on our YouTube channel and let us know how you feel about either or both of those options.
So I think we've pretty much run out of time. That was fun.
Come see us at YouTube at Planetary Calendar Astrology. If you haven't subscribed, we would love if you would, and hit that bell so you get notifications whenever we post something on YouTube. Of course, we do the monthly forecast, but we also
Yes.
post the Lunar New Year forecast and other events and profiles and things that we want to post. And if you don't have your planetary calendar, we do have some left in every size.
Yep.
So we would love to get them to you. And I may just extend my get your free digital with the purchase of a printed one for February.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think it's a great idea.
There's a few latecomers still. We should give you a little. I don't know about a reward for being late, but at least you get the calendar right away, and you
Yes.
don't have to worry about missing out on another month.
We've also added another feature. We're not doing as many portraits right now, but we're starting to do a series called Good Health for Our Children. And it's basically a series on health, because we're both naturopaths and herbalists, of course, about the things that we think that parents should know or adults should know that they can tell their children about how health is actually created, how good health is created. So you can also catch that on the YouTube channel.
That comes a little bit out of all the health astrology consultations and the
Yes.
relocation consultations
Yes.
we're doing right now. So we've got to go. Have a wonderful February, and we'll see you back here next month.
And Happy New Year.